So in this video, I'm just going to go through how to cover up one of these three-dimensional rectangular prisms. And when we do that, we are finding the surface area of that 3D figure. So I'm actually just going to start by showing you guys that our goal here is to cover up the front. And when we cover up the front, we'll also be trying to cover up the back when we double it with that blue face. When we cover up the top, we are also going to double that red area because we want to cover up the bottom. And then this gray part that's left over would be the side, and we're going to double that because there's also another gray side over here that we can't see. So that's where I get the 6 total faces. There are 6 total faces on this, and there are 3 different size rectangles. Again, we have this blue rectangle, we're going to have the red rectangle, and we're going to have this gray rectangle. Friendly reminder that the red and the gray figures here simply look like parallelograms because we're looking at a 3D shape. But if we were to change the figure and look at it from the top view, we'd be looking down at a 3x4 rectangle, and that's what I'm just drawing right here. We'd have a 4x3. If we were looking at the front, which we can see the front, we have a 4x7, and if we were to look at it from the side, we'd have a 3x7 view right here. So what we're doing is we're essentially going to find this red area, 3x4, then we're going to find the blue area, it's a 7x4, and then we're going to find the gray area, it's a 7x3. Now, when we get this part right here, obviously the red part is going to be a 12 total. The blue area of just the 7x4 is going to be a 28 total. And the 7x3 is going to be 21. Now, what the formula says to do, though, is to take that length times width answer that you got, the 12, and double it, and now that would be a 24. This length times height answer, the 28, we're going to double it, and it's going to be a 56. And now we've got front and back. And then for the width times height, that's over here, that's going to be the side 21, and we're going to double it because there's 2 sides, and we're going to get a 42. So now for the total surface area, all we really have to do is we just have to add up those 3 numbers. Okay? So when we add them up in the calculator, the 24 plus the 56, whoops, plus the 42, we get 122. So the total surface area of this prism is 122 square centimeters. Friendly reminder that even though the 2 is right here, the exponent comes after the centimeters, we don't say 122 centimeters squared. We would say 122 square centimeters. Now down below with these 2 examples, there's a couple different reasons why students are getting confused. First, I want to point out that A and B here, A times B would be the bottom of this rectangle. Here, B is labeling the height. So C is actually labeling the bottom, and A times C here is going to be the length times the width. So it's all about getting comfortable with reading the shapes, and I can put A, B, and C wherever I want. But we can still recognize that A is the length, B is the width, and C is the height. And so now I'm also just going to put those in there. We've got length, width, and height. Notice I did that over here. I just labeled L, W, and H. And that's a little bit tricky to get the hang of, but once you learn how to read the shapes, it's actually pretty easy. Now the next step is really straightforward. We're just going to take these dimensions and plug them into the surface area formula that we've been given. So for the first shape over here, the length times width, this bottom part, the A times B, I'm just going to kind of shade it in here. That's what we're currently finding when we do 7 times 8. Okay? So 7 times 8 is 56, and the reason we double that is because there's the top and the bottom. So that 112, that first number that you see, we've now covered up the top and the bottom. All right? Now we're going to cover up the length times the height, which is going to be the front. So the length times the height is this front face that we can see that I'm putting in red, and that's going to be the 7 times 10. Now, folks, there's also a back, so that's why we're going to double the 7 times 10 and get the 140. So if we so far covered up the top and the bottom, and then the front and the back, the only thing that's left is the 2 sides. Now, my shape is getting a little bit busy, so I'm going to erase all of that to just point out that our goal for now is to cover up the width times the height, which is this width in green times the height. So we're now covering up this side when we do width times height. And of course, we're going to double it because there's this other side over here. All right? So 8 times 10, which is this 8 times the height of 10. And if you want to see the 10 right there, to see 8 times 10, that might be helpful. And then, of course, the 80 doubled is 160. So our final step here is to add up what we get for the top and the bottom, plus the front and the back, plus the two sides, and we're going to get 412 square centimeters. All right? Now with this one over here, it just flip-flops where they put B and C, and that really doesn't matter, folks. It really doesn't matter what I'm putting as A, B, and C. What matters is that you catch that this front one is the length, that over here to the side, that would be the width, and then B in this instance is labeling the height, okay? So then, once again, we've got 2 times length times width, so length times width. The C here is the width, and that happens to be a 3. So I'll go ahead and put that there now for you guys to see that all I'm doing so far is this 11 times 3, which is me covering up the bottom and getting 33. And I'm going to double that to get this 66. Okay? Now the 11 times 2, what that is that's going to be in blue, I'll show you. That's going to be this 11 times the height of 2. And so what we're now doing is covering up the front. We get 22 for that. And then I'm going to double it, so the front and back together is the 44. And now I'm just going to erase some stuff in my picture for the last calculation that we have. And it's supposed to be 2 times width times height, so the width times the height. The width, once again, is C, so the width times the height is going to be this side. And so the width here is the 3. The height is B, which is 2. And so we just get a 2 by 3, which is 6. Double it up, you get 12. And when we add these 3 values together, we get 122 square units. So basically your goal for this unit is to get comfortable with how the shapes are labeled, and then simply taking those dimensions and then plugging them in. And here we're simply using PEMDAS to get our answer. We're multiplying, multiplying, and multiplying, and then we're adding those 3 answers together in the last step. All right, and that takes care of this video for how to cover up a rectangular prism. Thank you.